So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to look at the study guide, and I'll make sure I just cover everything. Be able to recognize this tissue as cardiac muscle. So what you're seeing here are many nuclei. You don't have to identify those, but those are the striations. And the fibers are kind of running in this orientation. Now, if you see vertical dark bars that are perpendicular to that orientation, those are intercalated discs. You may be asked to identify that structure. So once again, the tissue type is cardiac muscle, identify structure, intercalated disc. So I started with the heart, then I have the arteries that it pumps blood into. The largest arteries close to the heart are elastic arteries. You may be asked to identify this blood vessel. It's an elastic artery. You can see all the black tissue are the elastic fibers. The high content is why we call this elastic artery. The tunics are, if I point to the top, tunica intima. Now, from here to here, tunica media, here to here, TA, tunica adventitia. I did a higher mag view of this right here because these blood vessels are called the vasovasorum. The vasovasorum are the vessels of the vessels. They are giving oxygen-rich blood circulation to the outer layers of cells because they don't have access to the inner blood flowing through the lumen. All right, so moving on. Oh, I may have you identify collagen fibers of the TA. If I point to anything and say identify the black fiber, it's elastic fibers or elastin fibers, as I say in the study guide. I see two vessels here. I think I'm not going to have you identify this. These two are the ones I'm going for. Is that the artery or the vein? Artery. It is the artery. In particular, it's a muscular artery. This is a large vein. Okay. If we look at the artery, the tunics are TI, TM, from here to here, TA. It's a muscular artery because there's elastic tissue in there, but the pink is more than the black. There's more smooth muscle proportionally. The black looks like elastic waistband in here. That's internal elastic lamina for the muscular artery. For the tunica media, you may be asked to identify the smooth muscle or the elastic fibers. And for the vein, the tunics are tunica intima, tunica media, and tunica adventitia. Okay, and it's the same tissue types. You have collagen fibers, the red, the black is elastin fibers, and the same for here. The pinkish is smooth muscle, and the black is elastic fibers. You can even see a little bit of elastic lamina in the TI here, the black tissue there. Here's another example of a muscular artery, TI, TM, TA, okay, same as before, just another one. This is a much smaller arteriole. It's from the spleen, 2 layers. You got a TI, a TM, there's no TA. Technically, the definition is just a couple of layers of smooth muscle, no more. That's about what we see here. So that's arterial. Here's the rat testes slide. This is a slide where you have a muscular artery. There's the red blood cells, and look at the size, the caliber. There's a TI, TM, and this outer layer here, again, TA. You have all 3 layers in that muscle. This is the rat testes slide. That's a muscular artery. Now this one's a capillary, and I chose a vessel where it looks like it's about a width of a single red blood cell. That qualifies as capillary, so that's what we're going with here. Just call it capillary. How many layers?
1.
Just a TI. This is a venule. Right there. There's TI, TM, no TA. Anyways, this is at the center of a liver lobule, but that's the structure, that's the lumen, that's the vessel wall of the venule. So that is venule. It happens to be from liver. So we're going to get into other slides here, but this is a closer up view of the venule. Flip to the back here. So for the blood smear slide, I just kind of went around and tried to take pictures of something. I point to some things, okay, like for example, this is a monocyte. 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 Platelet, 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 and everything else, RBCs. Everything else, RBCs. On this slide, I don't point to them, but all of these are eosinophils. Eosinophils. What are the fragments again? Platelets and all the red blood cells that surround it. That's the eosinophilia slide, an elevated level of eosinophils. Sickle cell anemia is the next slide, but this is it's kind of blurry, but it's a close-up view of the eosinophil with the red granules and the bilobe nuke. Okay. All right, here's just a slide showing you just good old neutrophils. Both arrows are pointing to neutrophils. This is iron deficient anemia. It's not going exactly in order. The iron deficient anemia, you get this kind of clumping of the RBCs because they're less dense, so they tend to clump together. A lot of platelets, but that's a microcyte. It has less hemoglobin in it, so it's more translucent to the microscope light. Microcyte is what the arrow is pointing to. Oh man. Now that is sickle cell anemia. So I just kind of look for the puckered cells there. There's many of them. Okay, I pointed to a few. Sickle cell anemia. This one's a normal blood smear. I thought it was just a good example of a lymphocyte. Right there. Large round nuke. Just a little rim of cytoplasm. What did we call this one earlier? Eosinophil. Let's see here. I don't even have basophil here. I didn't get one this time. So let's kind of look at the trachea and the lung tissue slides. And so this is all tracheal wall under a low magnification. You have to know mucosa, submucosa, Adventitia. Here's a closer up view. This from here to here is mucosa. It's the ciliated, pseudostratified columnar epithelial tissue, and all of these are the goblet cells. Goblet cell, goblet cell, goblet cell, goblet cell. There's a ton of them. This connective tissue is the lamina propria. The lamina propria. So once again, ciliated, pseudostratified columnar ET with the goblet cells. So this is the submucosa, and within the submucosa you have the seromucous glands. Here's the adventitia. It's the cartilage ring, and it's a hyaline cartilage. You can see the chondrocytes there. Just know it as a hyaline cartilage. It's of a supportive ring. Now we get deep inside the lung tissue. Here's the slide for respiratory bronchial. If you see the epithelium there, I would say any of these are looking like respiratory bronchioles. That looks more like these look more like blood vessels. That's definitely a blood vessel, but I'll stick to this. This is a good respiratory bronchial, because as it branches out into alveolar ducts, they're nice long hallways. Alveolar ducts. Alveolar ducts. What if I point to something like this? Alveolar sac. If I point to just an individual, say dead end right there, alveolus. Very good. Here's a closer up view, so you can see the vessel, not the vessel wall, but the bronchial wall. So that's bronchial. What if I point to inside here? Alveolar duct. If I point to any little room here, that's alveolus. This is a pretty good alveolar sac right there. Now to get to the disease lung, under a low magnification, this is emphysema lung. Here it is under a higher magnification. We've got not much to see there, just fewer, larger alveoli. So again, this is emphysema lung. Fewer, larger alveoli. We looked at that before.
When you show us this one, what would be a question you would ask on this, just to describe what the slide is of?
Yeah, I'd probably go for emphysema.
But would you have us point out things that are on there that are like?
No, there's really nothing to see,
Okay,
except
that's
the
very
larger
important.
alveoli, which, I mean, yeah. Mostly that the whole thing, this is what emphysema lung looks like under the microscope. All right, so I want to talk about your presentation over. I want to talk about your upcoming quizzes.